button, and you know what? I
The
clicked the
red
button.
candy button, the beautiful candy-like button.
My candy buttons are green, and I get an echo from the stream here.
Good job, Mike.
Quiet stream. All right, hey, we're
there's lime
all
fiber.
here tonight. It's Mike and also Kurt
Also me.
and also Joe
Can't get away from me.
and also Eric.
Hi.
We're on a stick, and I am playing the beta for Tactical Breach Wizards, which is the upcoming game by
Pentadact.
That guy.
well, yes, Pentadact, but he's got a name which I'm going to look up here because I've forgotten what it is.
You said it was the gunpoint guy?
something.
Tom Ohmson or something like that?
Oh god, I'm going to say the wrong thing. This is so embarrassing. Well, yeah, suspicious.
Tom
It's
Francis.
Tom something.
Tom Francis, thank you. I was going to say Tom Bissell. That's another person.
That's the guy who wrote a book.
Tom Bithell.
Bithell, also another person. This is Tactical Breach Wizards, which is like a top-down squad-based strategy game starring wizards wearing SWAT gear. And this
It's not about people in their pants. Not those kind of breaches.
sorry, yeah, no,
Okay.
other kind of breaching. There's an A in this one.
Nice.
This is a beta, and actually this dialogue here is all placeholder, and it's actually pretty fun for placeholder dialogue. So yeah, this game is rough. I'm on this guy's mailing list because I liked Gunpoint, and so like 5 years ago I signed up for his mailing list, and then every 3 years I get a beta invite for whatever he's working on next, which seems like a
What was
good.
the last thing? He did something that was like a hacking.
The top-down space game whose name I keep forgetting. My brain is
Signature?
really heat signature.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to warn everyone. My brain is elsewhere tonight.
And yet you're the one who decided to host the stream tonight.
Look, I got a beta key. I need to beta. No wait, that's going places I don't want to go.
Yeah, let's not do that.
So this is the Navy Seer, and we also have. Eventually, we're gonna get the witch character who also has a punny name. And
character?
I shot. Yes.
Oh.
So this is I think this game, actually speaking of breaches, I think this game is a bit inspired by Into the Breach because it seems to be mostly focusing on smaller maps, and there's a lot of emphasis on positioning and moving enemies around, which is like that's not an XCOM thing. That's Into the Breach was very much about pushing and pulling enemies, and if you can push them into a wall, they take damage, or pull them into each other. I don't know if this game has some of that, but I know that if you knock someone into a wall, they'll take extra damage from your attack. And I know that because I've played the first two of these little tiny oops. Thank
I
you.
mean, you just knocked that fucker out a window, so.
Yeah, exactly. And then you get to the second one, and they're like, hey, open a door. So I open the door by tactically breaching it. And then they want me to move to a position where only one enemy can target me, and this took me a little while to figure out, but it's over here. And then I can use my shot on this guy, and it's going to bounce him off the wall, so it's going to do an extra point of damage. And knock him out.
Well, if you're
Is that
gonna.
what Mama said to do, or?
Yes.
Nice.
Exactly.
So then Mike pulled out the jammy and went blow.
Wow.
What did he go? How did he went?
Blow.
Blow.
Okay.
Game blouses.
Wait, you said it
Breaching
wasn't
and
about pants
blouses. This is all about taking your
It's all
clothes
B
off.
words.
It's
So,
yeah. It's
Look,
all set
bolt
dressing.
burst. Those are B words.
Why is the wizard using a sniper rifle or
He's
a
a
rifle?
tactical breach wizard. He's the
Why
Navy
isn't
Seer.
why isn't he using a sniper wand?
Because that's probably copyright by Harry Potter.
I'm pretty sure wands existed before J.K. Rowling.
Have you met our IP law?
Well, she's British, so I don't know that our IP law necessarily
Probably
No,
does.
the
applies
world.
there. But yes, actually, I believe wands would be covered under the Senefair doctrine, which I did a video
Nice.
about from when Capcom tried to sue Data East over Fighter's history. And as it turns out, our IP law is pretty lenient when you're using archetypes like wizards with wands.
Nice.
So, boom, goes the
Dang, you show him, Joe. You tell that JK.
All that means is that neither party in that thing was Disney.
Well, J.K. Rowling isn't Disney either, Kurt.
I'm aware of that. But they have space wizards now.
They do have the space wizards now.
All right,
This
so
looks like a terrestrial wizard, though, from what I can tell.
So
it's a choice for a wizard who's shooting cops. So I mean,
you're into it.
does this game take place in a police state
I don't know.
along with Mega Man?
So you get one move
So-
for free. I'm gonna use a reflex thing here. We're basically gonna go into Overwatch.
So obviously this
Ow.
is, as you said, a beta.
Yes, a
Um,
beta.
Are there multiple do you ever have a squad, or is this
Yeah, I think you get a squad. There's 3 or 4 characters that I've seen in preview stuff that are all kind of defined characters. Like they're. This isn't like a build your own kind of thing.
okay?
Um,
And you don't just use them all one at a time, but eventually form them into a squadron of some sort.
I believe so. Yes, a sort of wizard squad, if you will. I don't quite understand what I'm doing wrong here.
Is it a coven?
Well, I don't know. Wouldn't it have to be all lady wizards if it was a coven?
I don't know.
Is it Coven? I always thought of it as Coven.
Yeah, well, you don't say
coven
coven
sounds
because
like
that
oven,
rhymes with
man, and
oven.
that ain't cool.
I mean, it depends on what she wants to do with unsuspecting children.
Hometown hero Mark Borchardt there, living forever by way of medium of film. Have you not seen American Movie, Kurt?
No.
Kurt, you should watch American Movie.
Watch
It's one of the
American Movie.
best documentaries ever made.
Okay.
I'm not being facetious
Yeah,
or joking.
no.
It's legitimately an amazing film about
Okay,
a
alright.
small indie movie maker in Milwaukee.
Okay.
He's making a movie called Coven, and a guy corrects him and says it's Coven, and he says, "Nah, man, because Coven sounds like oven, and that ain't cool."
Okay. This is not a room situation, right?
No, it's I'm
No,
serious.
no.
Completely
It's like
serious.
if they documented the guy making the room while he was making it.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
Wow.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
James Franco was not involved.
No,
No
James
James
Franco
Franco.
is not.
Yeah. Okay.
Who is the guy who directed American Movie? Went on to do other things that he's also relatively famous for, I believe. Right.
Let's
see.
check.
There's also a lot of shots and interviews in American Movie that are where places I hung out on campus when I was in college, because they shot a bunch of it at UWM, which is fun.
Chris
Chris Smith.
That is a nondescript name as hell.
It is. It really is.
Yeah, I don't get what I'm supposed to do here at all.
Oh, he did the Yes Men. That's right. And oh, he did one of the Firefest documentaries. I don't remember which is which though, because there were 3 Firefest.
I think he did the
Documentary?
one I didn't see.
If anyone
There
wants to
were-
help me
there
out
were a
on this,
bunch of 'em.
feel free, because I don't know what I'm doing.
You should shoot that dude and then shoot the other dude.
I believe that you should tactically breach things.
I
Yes.
did, and that feels like it was maybe a mistake. Maybe I need to
What
not
is-
breach.
What does your reflex foresight do?
It
what does
lets
it tell
it
you?
overwatches basically, right?
I mean, there's 20 heroes in Overwatch, and all their abilities are different.
Overwatch.
So
the one where you shoot people. So if I
okay. So you should use that then, because it shoots people, and you should shoot these 2 cops. That's my
Get out of the police.
that's my advice. Yes.
so they're telling me that I got to go here, but then no matter what I do here, I get clubbed to death by the people with the club.
What do the symbols on the floor mean?
They mean these guys are gonna
That
club
means
you,
death.
as far as I can tell.
What
Because
does that mean? If you pass them, they're going to club you. You can't walk past them, or they will.
No, it shows me what they're
murder
gonna do
you?
with their turn. I think, which is they're going to walk up to
What if you
whatever.
go to
Okay,
the
so
other
what is
side
that
of the
symbol
door?
by the
Oh, maybe you
computer? What's the symbol? by the
That I gotta hack that. You gotta use the
Okay.
computers to finish
Can
the
you
levels.
breach the brick wall? Is that what that yellow symbol on the right means?
I don't know. I mean, I could.
Oh yeah.
I can't shoot it. I can't really interact with it. I'm gonna point at this thing. All right. That went about as well as I thought it would.
The poor wizard.
Yeah, I
Do
don't.
we know what is the range of motion of the bad guys?
It's
Or-
enough that there's no one in this room that I can get to that they can't reach me. but I can only shoot one of them.
You can't go around the outside.
No, it doesn't seem to be
Right.
an option. Like all these green squares are only here. And if I go into one of these other spots, then I can't even overwatch. Oh, I stand right next to this guy. What's gonna happen?
So if you shoot, okay.
Plans a path to strike the nearest member of your team. And he'll go into Overwatch if he can't find me, but he can find me. Which has been a bit of a problem so far. Uh-huh. Am I missing something really obvious here?
No.
Can you? Well, no.
I don't even know what this...
Wait, what's the symbol you're standing?
I
Oh,
don't
that's the symbol.
know.
So
Oh,
you stand on that, you can breach the door next to
So,
where you're
so
standing.
Right.
the
I
thing
see.
says at the start of a level you can move to change your starting position.
Oh,
You
okay,
start at
so
the
I
other
can...
spot
that's a
instead
good...
of actually taking your.
Okay, I have to...
target, you just move to that
Okay,
other
there
spot.
you go. Thank you, Kurt.
Yeah.
You cracked the code.
I cracked the code by reading the tooltip. That's what I do. Read the tooltips.
Just
So
the
now
tip.
we can be like, hey,
Just the
come and say hello. And they don't do anything. That's okay, I got all day. Maybe they don't know that I'm here yet. Okay, they don't know that I'm here yet.
It's weird that you blew up a door and they haven't like figured out that there's a dude there.
Just saying, they may not be the shining stars on the force.
Can you only shoot on straight? Okay.
So now I need to make sure I can't overwatch if they can see me, something along those lines. So I have to pick a direction where they cannot see me. All right, hooray! Thank you, Kurt, for solving the mystery.
By reading the tooltip.
Well, by correctly reading the tooltip, because I read it and understood the wrong thing. Ooh, look at this. Time grenade. Mana grenade, okay. Max mana boost. Let's try time grenade. That sounds cool. Oh, witch cop. There you go. The other one's the witch cop.
That cop.
Operation Pain Slurry. Operation Crime Slags. Operation Fuck Police.
Wow.
Bilge
Bye.
Gargler.
Ugh.
Rated M for mature, one presumes.
I'm actually sad for people who won't get to play this version of the game because this dialogue's pretty good.
I mean, it might stay this way. You never know.
Maybe it will stay the tutorial.
Okay.
It's a timeless paradigm.
All right, witch cop. Are you ready for witch cop action?
Which cop?
I don't think anybody's ready for
This cop.
Which,
that one.
I believe
So-
you mean paradigm, Joe.
yes, that's what I mean.
Paradigm.
Chain bolt. Oh, okay. So in fact, the witch cop's got to push people out windows.
That's what happens when you get a pallet of snacks from
Bye bye.
the Costco. Paradigm.
So not only can you breach in this game, you can reverse breach too.
By pushing people out windows.
Yeah.
I don't think that's what that's called, but okay.
Oh, this is getting a little rough here. Click each enemy in order. There you go. Boom. So this person only moves people around, basically.
Moves them out windows, looks like to me.
Well, I mean, ideally. So what have you guys been up to? Not breaching any witches, I'm assuming.
So I started a new playthrough of Resident Evil 7 shortly before I moved, and then I didn't play any video games because I was moving, and moving sucks, and it takes up all your time. And by the time you're done moving stuff for a day, packing stuff, you don't want to do anything physically demanding, even if it's just play video games. You just want to watch TV or whatever.
Right.
Uh-huh.
But now that I moved in, I picked up that playthrough, and I'm playing on Madhouse, and I got to Mia, which is the hardest fight in the game on Madhouse, which is kind of frustrating because she's actually the first thing you fight, like full stop in that game. The first combat is fighting your wife, who is now like a deadite. And
Right.
I finally realized, because the game doesn't, in the normal course of things, there's really no need to defend that early in the game. And it's been so long since I had played it that I forgot that on Madhouse difficulty, that game, like, you can play through the normal difficulty without blocking very much at all, pretty much. But the higher difficulty pretty well demands that you use your block. Like, you're gonna die if you don't learn how to block. And you can block her chainsaw attack like pretty easily.
With
and
what?
You still have she swings it down, and so you just block it with your forearm. Like, you block the handle part, basically. Yeah. And then shove it off and kick her away from you. And then you still have to be very judicious with what little ammo you have in that fight and get almost all headshots. But it's like possible, And so since I got past that, now I am titling this playthrough of Resident Evil 7 the Louisiana Circular Saw Massacre. Because I'm just playing through with all the unlocked stuff. The coolest item of which in this Resident Evil is a circular saw that somehow has infinite power, even though it's a circular saw, which would normally mean it has to be plugged into a wall. So I don't know if I just have like a battery pack on my waist or what the deal is, but
It's powered by swamp gas.
Yeah, right, there you go. You
swamp gas.
run so much in that game. Maybe it's powered by swamp ass, but
Nice.
I've just been sawing everything in my path, which is like, it's a melee
It's
weapon.
seeing
You have to get
Joe.
close. You have to get close to things, but it's pretty fun. And I forgot how genuinely creepy the early part of that game, the first 2/3 of that game, is like pretty genuinely creepy and distressing, and I kind of
Agreed.
forgot that stuff. It's really fun. I'm kind of, this was my solution to, I don't really have anything new to play until Doom and Resident Evil 3 come out. So I figured I'd just sort of give myself a placebo of both of those things at once by playing the first person Resident Evil and sawing everything to death.
When does Resident Evil 3 come out?
April 20 something.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I've been doing that people haven't just seen me do, because I played a bunch of video games on Saturday, but everybody could have watched that if they were so inclined to do so. So
Were they?
some people were, yeah. Eric hung out with me for a good long while. Alex showed up at the end and had to hear about wrestling, which is always fun.
That's the risk you take, man.
It's, especially when someone's doing a live stream of all wrestling games, for charity. Then
Yeah. Kind of stuck at that point.
yeah, you walk into it, But we got to explain Iraqi turncoat Sergeant Slaughter to Alex, which was fun. So not quite as fun as the time that I introduced Alex to Scott Steiner math, but
I think even I'm familiar with Scott Steiner math at this point.
I feel like just about everybody is. So somebody did one of those hand washing charts with the Scott Steiner math on it, which is maybe the best hand washing chart that I've seen so far of all those memes that have been going around is Scott Steiner math hand washing. So, Mike, it looks like you have a squad now, but you're only controlling the witch cop still?
Well, this is what I'm trying to figure out here now. Is I have a squad and I got this witch cop that I want to do a little combo with, but then if I want to like also program something for the other guy, but when I do that, it seems to undo. This is what you get when you play a beta,
No.
It's not entirely clear to me. Oh, I guess the goal is to survive for 3 turns, so maybe I'm not supposed to be killing these guys. I'm supposed to be hiding or something.
You're supposed to help your Navy Seers just survive the room, I guess.
Something like that, but I don't know. Like, that's not going to get this guy far enough away to keep me alive. Oh, so he's used his turn, but for some reason that didn't cause the bad guys to go? I don't know, I'm confused.
Maybe both of your guys go before they go.
Like, I don't understand why they got to do their thing before me that time, but when it was the other character, they went first.
Is there some kind of... Do you have like a speed?
Like a speed rating or something? Well, there's no obvious list of who's gonna go first, but I can immediately do this move if I want and knock that guy.
See something, stats or whatever.
What's that, Kurt?
Can you click on them or right click on them or something to see stats or something like that?
Well, when you mouse over them, it tells you what the general behavior of that enemy is. Like, it's gonna run up to you and hit you. Yeah. Oh, I can push my friend back. That's not quite what I wanted to do, because I wanted to hit the other guy too. I didn't know I could use my thing on my friend. Now, does that get him far enough away from this guy? Guess we're gonna find out.
Yes, we are.
What? There's more of them. What?
You're supposed to survive for 3 turns, Mike.
Well, I thought I was supposed to survive against the ones that I already saw.
Yeah, well, that's what happens when you assume.
You die.
That's right.
For some reason I
Ass
can't.
out of Witch Cop and Navy Seer.
For some reason I can't chain my pushback attack anymore. Well, this is a beta, so I'm not going to be too hard on him, but I'm finding this very confusing to learn right now. Why would I want to chain the chain bolt? That's why it's called the chain bolt, is that you chain it between people, right? Like you and... Yeah, no, that doesn't make... Okay, great. Alright, well that leaves us with one bad guy who can apparently shoot us and kill us. Alright, forget it. Now it's 1 on 3. Show me what you got, old man. Shoot this one. Alright, well, I don't know that I have a whole lot else to say about this right now. This game still looks cool. I think I might just wait until it's kind of more done before I spend any serious time with it.
Is that all there is? It's just like these few handful of levels at the moment?
Well, I don't know how many levels there are. Mission select. It looks like I'm not very far, honestly. Like there's yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but in its current state, I seem to be pretty bad at it.
Mm-hmm.
Restart level. And
But maybe that's not just you.
And I think today is just not a good day for me to have the patience to try and fight through this. So I think I'm going to stop. Anyone else have anything else they want to talk about or possibly stream?
I am not at all set up to stream right now, or I would stream some Resident Evil 7 with the Louisiana Circular Saw Massacre. But it would take me 10 to 15 minutes just to get all the cables laid across this room and get set up. So
we better get started then.
Well, that doesn't feel like
Unless you want me to stream some more gifs of
Darkman.
Darkman, I can stream some Darkman.
I mean,
gifs.
I think obviously everybody wants guinea pigs.
Yeah,
I mean, does the guinea pig cam set up, Eric?
I mean, I could, I guess, do that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't. I really haven't played anything too interesting recently.
I was telling Eric before people jumped on that I'm now playing Nier Automata.
Oh, how far into that are you?
Are you familiar with the game?
Well, I know that you have to loop through the whole game several times to finish it.
Well, I'm on my first real loop.
You mean your second
did.
playthrough?
My first playthrough.
Okay.
Although I did get a jokey ending.
Like early in the game, you can do stuff and they kick you the credits right away.
There's the thing that you can do, and the credits roll at about 1,000 times faster than they normally do.
Like in Chrono Trigger.
And then you reset and keep going. So I don't consider that necessarily a real ending. But
the game ends when you're satisfied, Kurt. Did we learn nothing from
the game ending was the friends we made along the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But so far I'm enjoying it, although like there is good stuff in it. I don't know if I'm just dead inside or if there's things to come, but
You
Both can be
you have
true.
seen fucking nothing yet,
Oh,
Kurt.
okay,
Okay,
that's what
you-
I was wondering about, because I was just kind of like, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
Like, it's enjoyable, but
yeah.
my mind hasn't been blown, as seemed to be implied was going to happen. But
I think you got a ways
I
to
wasn't
go
sure
before
how
I'm
far
mind
along
blowing
I
will
was
happen.
or anything. What about?
I wondered if you met Pascal yet.
I have met Pascal.
Okay.
Pascal is good.
Yeah.
Does he have a triangle?
Yeah.
Uh,
Some stuff happens. There's things that happen. You gotta. Yeah. I mean, there really isn't. It's a real. That's. I mean, that's why I have been hesitant to recommend that game, even though I loved it a lot. Because you have to play it a lot to get to the good stuff. But you really can't, like a good novel or a good TV series or a movie. You have to get through the setup stuff in order to get there.
Yeah, and I have no problem with that. It was more of I wasn't sure if that's where I was.
Yeah,
in that phase or not.
I would say the whole first playthrough is kind of that phase. And
okay, that's sort of what I wondered. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've had other things, highly recommended, and I sort of go through them or whatever, and been like, yeah, it's fine. I didn't have the, life-changing experience you did, but that's fine.
Ah, you see that?
And that is not to invalidate people's experiences or whatever, but
yeah, no, it doesn't. It takes a while to really get to the really interesting stuff. It doesn't. Yeah. The game does several times. It like zooms out and shows you a different perspective or a different like layer upon layer of all the different things that are at work in that world, and it can't do that without. Problem with that game is that the map design is just not very good, and so you're forced to run across the giant desert several times.
God, that's why I stopped playing that fucking game.
It sucks. It's a real shame.
I've done that. Yes, that is true.
And I liked the combat, and I didn't mind the running around, but the map is just really boring.
Although there was a weird
one of the key things to
that
understand is that there just isn't stuff to find most of the time, so it's really not worth exploring.
Yeah.
Which is a shame.
That sounds rough when you say it, but yeah.
And all the side quests don't matter and aren't good. So.
I mean, there's a pretty fucked up side quest that I did last night. Finished last night, involving 2 androids on the land.
Okay, yeah, there's a couple alright ones,
that
but
one's
most of them aren't
up.
that
Most
good.
of them, most of them, I'm like,
they're like
this
MMO
is just
side quests.
Yeah, it was just like, oh, it's an escort mission for this robot. Great.
Also, the game's pretty easy, so there's really no point in. There's like there's a lot of cool things.
I did not. Maybe I missed this, but I did not realize that you could equip 2 weapons at a time, and one weapon was your strong attack, and one weapon was your weak attack.
Mm-hmm.
So I spent a good, I don't know, 8 or more hours with only one weapon and doing strong attacks, which were with my fists, and wondering why I wasn't doing more.
Yeah, it's actually a really interesting. It's a pretty. The combat system is really interesting, as is the character level up stuff, where you have a certain amount of memory in your android.
Yeah, trying
and
to
then,
sort of Lego in those pieces you
Yeah.
want, and then trying to decide.
How
Well,
many?
do
What
I
kinds of buffs
merge?
do I want?
Do I merge these pieces together? It gets bigger.
Right.
Do I have enough room for that? Should I
You
pull
make
this one out? And
the buff and the skill gets better, but it also takes up more memory, so you have
Right,
to be careful
exactly.
not to overdo it. And stuff.
Yeah. And then I ran into shortly before I did the last bit that I told you I was doing. I ran into. I did the bit where you fight. You escort the missile battery,
Mm-hmm.
and you end up fighting the. This doesn't. This is no spoiler because you do this a million times in the game. Fight a giant robot.
What?
On the way to fighting the giant robot and doing all that stuff, I went through an area I've been through like 3 times before, and there was always a bunch of mooks there. And
Triple Nippler is in this game. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
Just important to point out.
What
Good
now?
to know.
The Triple Nippler.
And so the mooks were replaced by these other 2 robots who were about slightly higher level than the ones that were before, but seemingly were infinitely stronger, like infinitely more armored for some weird reason that I could not ascertain. It was just like I was fighting these guys that were level 20. Now these 2 dudes are level 23, and yet I'm doing barely any damage to them.
Can you make what's his face hack yet? I think that's how you get through armor.
9S.
Yeah.
Or the pod.
9S. Yeah. He should have some kind of a hacking thing.
I do not have that yet. Also, it's a little disconcerting to have a boss like ramble on about shit while I'm trying to fight them.
Didn't you ever play a Metal Gear game, Kurt? Come on.
Yeah, I have, and it's annoying there too.
I would say, isn't that kind of all this game is people talking?
This is even more so because they're doing crazy ass attacks that like reflect different kinds of damage, and I got to switch back and forth and really pay attention to what they're doing. And then they're also yammering on about the glorious robot future and so on. I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about? I don't know. Whack.
I think it's meant to be that way.
That does not surprise me.
Yeah, there's a part of me that maybe wants to go back and finish that game, but then every time it comes up, Eric's like, yeah, you gotta run across that fucking desert like 20 times. And I was like, God, I did like 4, and I fucking hated it. A couple
more times. So the first two go rounds are the only ones where you actually have to do the whole game basically twice, and the second one is quite a bit different because 9S's abilities are all very different than 2B's. But it still is just that game, so it still has a lot of those problems. Like the map is never a different map, right. Even if you don't have to, like, even if you're just crossing it, it's still.
Like, how long does it take to run through those first 2 campaigns?
I don't know, like 10 hours or something.
For both of them, or each?
For both, yeah.
That's maybe less bad than I thought, but still.
It's not a total.
Still a lot of hours.
I must be dawdling a lot more than other people do.
I was gonna say, I feel like I played it more than 5 hours and didn't finish 2B.
I'm like 12 hours in at this point. I'm still playing 2B.
The first one. Well, the second one is much faster.
I'm doing a bunch of side quests though.
Yeah, that's your.
Listen, I was not aware that they were pointless.
When you get sick of them, don't do.
Okay.
There was a point where I just put it on easy and just finished the game.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to do it anymore.
Right. So I'm doing that, and then.
Not that I'm trying. Like, if you don't mind those or enjoying them, you should keep doing it. But
yeah. And
Listen, that's why I can't give it for as much as I love things about that game.
I hear you.
I'm
Yeah.
not giving it an unabashed recommendation.
Right. It's a recommendation with an asterisk.
Yeah.
Sure. And then on my Switch, I am currently playing 4 different Picross games at the same time.
Are you playing the? Are you playing
Does that
the?
include Murder Picross?
Yeah.
I'm playing Murder by Numbers.
Me
So
too.
there's a
forgot I
series
played,
called
like,
Picross S that has been running on the Switch for a while, and they just put out Picross S3 recently, so I picked that up. And then there was another one that came out that was called Depiction, which was like layered color Picross, and so I
Depiction.
picked that up. Yeah,
Get it?
Depict. Maybe that name might actually not be right. It might be depixelation or something like that. Anyway, there's a pixel thing put in the middle of that, and that's like all the puzzles are three color layers that when you get done with them, mix together to make a picture. So like red and blue together to make other colors. And I picked that up because that sounded interesting. Although that fucks with me because every other Picross game uses 5 square grids.
Mm-hmm.
So like there's a division every 5 squares. So it's like starts by 5 by 5 and then it goes 10 by 10 or 15 by 15 or whatever. This one uses 4. So large Picrosses are like 12 by 12, which is like totally screwing with me when I look at the numbers. So I'm playing that, and then there was one that Anthony pointed me to called Voxelgrams, which is like Picross 3D. And then I just picked up Murder by Numbers, and mostly I'm playing.
How far are you in that?
I'm not super far yet. I just started it on Sunday.
Okay. I finished the first chapter.
Did you? I'm still in the middle of the first chapter. But so far I'm enjoying it.
I have a real problem in that I'm not good at Picross.
Okay.
Really?
So, no.
It's not super difficult Picross.
I
mean, this is not to denigrate your
I'm
lack
not
of
good
skills
at it.
or whatever. You
Not
just
for me, because I
Yeah.
am struggling with some of the puzzles later on the second chapter.
I can give you some hot tips if you want.
The problem is, just like when you get to when there's boards that are like 2, 2, 1, 3, like I have a real hard time putting that all together in a way that makes sense or is useful. So
you gotta whittle down the things you can do first.
Yeah, I also didn't
focus on those.
Yeah,
and then because some of them, like depending on the size of the grid, you wouldn't be able to do anything with that. And so you have to look at sort of part of it is just figuring out which thing to focus on and slowly pick away at it to give yourself more information in other places, and you work through it that way. You can't just work from like left to right or top to bottom or whatever, because
yeah, I don't know. I'm just not good at it.
Yeah.
And the problem is, what always ends up happening is that I make a mistake someplace, and then by the time I catch it, it's like my whole board is a total fucking mess. And then my only recourse is to either take the hint and lose the points, which I'm not allowed to do, or I can start over again. And then
you will not allow yourself to do.
And I don't really enjoy like starting over.
Yeah, I get that
much, but like I said, that's just I cannot speak to the quality of the Picross because I'm not
what I have seen so far is that it is fine.
Yeah,
it's not
the first chapter was
not overly tricky
easy.
or anything.
Yeah,
and other comments that I've seen from people seem to indicate that it doesn't get ridiculously difficult. I mean, like in the Picross S series that I was talking about.
Yeah.
They introduced in I think the second one a thing called Mega Picross, which is
like power up your Picross, and
that's right. In some of the some of the rows or columns
It's
in
1,000 square.
will be paired together, and there'll be clues between that pair up the two rows. And so it'll be like, you know, there's a one square on the top row, and then like a 5 grouped together between the two rows, which could mean like an L-shaped block or a T-shaped block or whatever, and those are much more difficult. And you really have to have a good handle on how all that shit works to be able to solve those kinds.
Yeah.
Which, you know, that's not your jam. That's not your jam.
Yeah. Plus, the writing is a little tiresome, I guess. It's not. I don't think it's bad. It's just like
it's very visual, you know, middling visual novel so far for me.
Yeah.
Although I hear that there's not much mystery. Like, you don't actually solve the mystery or anything. You're just reading through as they're doing stuff.
Yeah, it seems all right. I kind of wish
it seems fun.
It was something if I like traveled more and had.
That's part of why I'm having all that, because I was
Yeah, if I spent a lot of time on a bus or a plane or something.
Yeah.
But sitting in front of my PC and playing, it's like there's a lot of games I could be playing with better.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, that's like I play those games when I'm traveling or like if we're watching TV or something like that. I'll sit here and blink away at those kind of puzzles because it doesn't take a lot of attention for me.
I wish that it was on phones because I don't bring my Switch with me when I go back and forth to work.
There are
you can
like things, but that game.
But I don't want to because it's heavy and I don't have very long to play it. But I've always got my phone with me.
True.
Hey, you guys see how good I got at this game?
You got real good.
Yeah, look at this. Spend my perk points.
It's good that you got real good right after you said I'm not going to play this.
Yeah, right after 20 minutes ago after you said you were not going to play anymore.
We distracted him by talking about
Everyone knows that 20 minutes ago Mike is a liar.
That's true.
That guy. Bum, bum, bum. Time for an update. Install update.
Oh, I think I might have finished the beta.
There you go.
In their defense, it took a while to decide how time worked. So the impression that I get is that this game is definitely more along the lines of Into the Breach, which is a little bit less. It's less my kind of puzzle strategy game because it's the kind of game where perfect play is possible and desirable, and I don't like perfect. I'm much happier making a bunch of compromised decisions and trying to kind of always creep towards the solution.
You like to be in the shit and having to sort of triage a bunch of bad options.
I like that, and I don't like the feeling of like, oh well, there was a perfect way to do this and you didn't get it.
You just didn't figure it out, right?
Yeah, like I don't want.
I don't want to sit here for 20 minutes staring at this thing, figuring out the right path.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I did enjoy playing through those once I kind of understood how it worked. But then sometimes I'd get to the third turn of a mission and enemies would come into the room and I'd be like, okay, with where they are now and where I am, I don't think I can get through this turn without getting killed.
Right.
And the only solution is the only solution is to know ahead of time where they'll come from, I guess, or
that's lame.
Well, you know.
I'm not a fan of that.
Yeah, no. It's in development.
I do know.
So I guess there is one more mission where you get to use the Riot Priest.
Oh shit.
Gains mana when she takes damage. All right.
Rebel Riot Priest.
Let's see how this works. Swap
The
places with
regular Riot
enemy or I
Priest
can
was
charge.
in the pocket of
Big Riot.
Breach Wizard.
That was kind of
Big
fun.
Breach Wizard. Yeah, I mean, I'm all down with using a. Geez, I don't know. Is that a frankincense burner that you just used to knock that cop out a window?
Yeah, it seems like it. Oh, sensor. It's a sensor slam.
The old sensor slam. It is a sensor, in fact.
That was Stevie Richards' finishing move in 2000.
Sensor slam.
Dang. That is kind
I
of
was really hoping to
satisfying.
get a reaction from Eric on that, but
There's a lot going on right now.
He's too busy legending his apexes
yeah, I guess.
or something.
There you go. The scent of victory.
Smells like frankincense.
Smells like napalm.
Well, yeah.
To turn that around.
Yeah. Yes. To invert the old adage.
Yeah.
Does that mean the Riot Priest does surf?
I mean, he kind of has a hat like.
I think it's a she, actually, but I could be.
Is it that person? I'm not sure which one is which.
Gas mask.
No, it's the witch cop. The witch cop kind of has a hat like.
Yeah.
Robert Duvall.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. So the witch cop surfs.
Yeah, the witch cop do surf. The sensor is making a nice
glowy effect.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, like I said, it's a frankincense burner.
Yeah.
I mean, she's a priest. It makes sense.
It does.
Sensor slam.
Is she a Capcom fighting game character, Mike?
Could be. SNK versus Riot Wizards. Oh, this is gonna work. Move back. Charge forward.
So I just found out, speaking of, I was talking about Resident Evil earlier, and now we just invoked Capcom fighting games. I literally just found out last week that in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, if you're playing as Jill, she has a super where the Tyrant shows up and like fucks up your opponent. So if you're doing that, there's a way that you can, right after the Tyrant lands like its final hit, you can pull out a rocket launcher and blow up the Tyrant, which will also do additional damage to your opponent. And like, I played that game religiously when it was new, and I had no idea you could do that until last week.
And how did you find out?
The video on YouTube
Okay.
about, whatever. I think it was just about how good Jill is in that game, and like all the reasons that she's like an interesting character and some of the weird stuff about her. And one of the things was like, yeah, she's got this super and it does this, and then like, hey, if you do like a quarter circle forward and punch or something like right at the end of it, it does. She pulls out the rocket launcher and blows up the Tyrant like in Resident Evil, and the explosion does splash damage to your opponent. And I was like, I had no fucking clue that you could do that. Out the window with you, motherfucker.
Out the window with everybody. That's all there is to this game, and I kind of don't mind that.
Tactical defenestration.
Defenestrate everybody.
Defenestrate the nation.
Almost as good as Fultoning everybody.
Yeah, almost. It might be better. I don't have the sound on, but this is a beta.
That's true.
You know, if they add some good Wilhelm screams to the defenestration,
So far, there's none of that, I'm afraid.
Could be.
There's still
top
time.
tier. I feel like there was some good defenestration in Gunpoint too. It's been, I haven't played it in 6 years or whatever, 7 years.
I believe they actually make reference to that in the intro text, talking about how everyone basically just like Gunpoint because it involved pushing people out of windows.
Legit.
I mean, lean into strengths.
Yeah, I don't think I did this right. I can tell because that guy's dead. But hey, do we all have to survive or just like a few?
Good question.
Now I have that Violent Femme song Out the Window stuck in my head.
I think I only know one Violent Femme song.
Is it Blister in the Sun?
How'd you guess?
Lucky guess. You
Could've
might
been
also know
Could have
Gandhi.
been added up.
Oh yeah, that other one that you were just talking about. That does ring a bell.
Gone Daddy Gone. Well, there was a Gnarls Barkley did a cover of Gone Daddy Gone.
No, I heard the original one at some point. Hey, I
It's a
won
very
by.
xylophone heavy song.
It's true.
If you like xylophone in your alternative pop songs.
I mean, I'm kind of a Zyla fan.
It's pretty much the Ne Plus Ultra. Of,
Get it?
Mm-hmm.
Zylo fan.
Yeah, I got it. Thanks, Mike.
The Witch Cop.
Which cop?
This one right here.
Who's on first?
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, okay. I feel like I've got a better handle on this game, and it's neat. And I'm going to stop now. So, good night, everyone. I hope you've enjoyed this unfinished beta of Tactical Breach Wizards, as well as all the other stuff we talked about. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Good night.